Sanimax plant in Green Bay. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, has cited the plant after an employee was injured in January. OSHA inspectors visited the plant after an employee suffered severe burns from steam and hot oil when workers were trying to clear a pump blockage. They determined Sanimax failed to implement hazardous energy control procedures at its Badgerland Drive facility. The plant was also cited for fall dangers related to broken guardrails, failing to prevent explosion hazards caused by the buildup of combustible dust, and dangers related to electrical hazards. So in total, Sanimax was cited for 10 safety and health violations, OSHA proposing nearly $300,000 in fines. We'll get